Welcome to the program. We are about to start. Thank you for joining. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Enjoy this show.
To raise its body temperature, this crocodile returns to the water. Yellow-billed egret prey on fish and small rodents and reptiles. Having revitalized himself in the warmth of the sun, the crocodile will be quicker and more dangerous. The Leslie's large
further than Lake Huron. North of Lake Superior, in the Nipigon country. That's where Paddle was born one winter, in a little cabin deep in the woods. Now, that cabin was not only far away from the sea.
and their young by a male lion. And this pride consists of 3 adult females with 9 cubs of varying ages. They'll
As Sergei's empty plane careens out of control, he spots Alexander descending in his own parachute.
A boy with a dream of a journey he couldn't make himself. But Paddle to the Sea might be able to, if he got him finished by springtime.
Bad place to start an education. And Lobo caught on fast. The truth was, all of his life, he'd be one to learn from experience.
We must find a way to make things right.
A herd of kudu linger in the cover near the water.
Me back in the water.
provide them. Longhorn Antelope, his favorite prey.
At long last, they approach the safety of flight ground and emergency vehicles, the landing zone. But the end of their trip is still dangerously out of reach. The helicopters control. Bowling and Mejia are now at the most precarious part of their journey. Mejia could break free at any moment, and his patient could tumble out after him. Finally, the litter touches down. Ken Bowling and Carlos Mejia have survived one of the most amazing rescues ever caught on camera. Along the banks of the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, of a man whose recreation has turned to danger. John Fish and 4 friends were headed for a picnic when their boat lost power and began drifting towards the upper falls. While 3 of his companions have reached safety, Fish has been caught in the swift current and is now in danger of being swept into the treacherous lower falls. Firefighter Gino Camara and his partner struggle to haul Fish to safety. Despite the victim's weight and the force of the rushing water, they manage to get him within reach. At this point, Fish...
If he found him, it could mean trouble. Real bad trouble. When one of these big cats was circulating, nothing was safe.
Back there, in that village of old, there is a totem pole carved in honor of Lord of the Sky and the boy who helped to restore the light. But this all happened long, long ago.
Something about cougars that just naturally brought out hatred in cowpunchers. Of course, the big cats were death on horses and other livestock, but the resentment seemed more than that almost. It was kind of unreasonable. Now, this went for wolves, too. And right at this moment, little Lobo couldn't know how close.
Between a lioness and her cubs is strong, and there is frequent reassuring contact between them.
Right off, he knew something.
Able to pull Erin to safety, but her friend Fiona is still trapped in the freezing water.
You hang on, honey. Too much weight there. Back up, the rest of you two. Don't give me that shit. Get the foot. Come on. Give me that foot. You know how to swim? Okay, start kicking.
Thanks to the quick thinking and selfless heroism of Mike Rennick and his friends, Aaron and Fiona both survived their brush with death.
No one had ever even noticed it. Paddle, like the great ships, was also on his way to the sea.
Before sky and sea, rain came and brought the sun. Then there was light. Trees and flowers grew. Water sparkled.
As this lioness approaches, notice how her cubs quickly move to offer her recognition contact.
In the forest by the sea.
This cub, by claiming the toy, has established a form of dominance over the other cubs of the pride by proving himself more aggressive and persistent and forcing the others to defer to him. The cub has refused to relinquish his prize, but it's interesting to notice that when he reaches his mother, he drops it and defers to her trustingly.
Track his escort, the old slowpoke veered off the trail. Free to travel sachet.
Let me go. I am merely an enchanted prince, and not at all.
Friend.
Caught up in situations that are beyond their control. In Rio de Janeiro, Brazil,
He was caught.
suddenly, a grandstand guardrail breaks loose and helpless fans plummet 20 feet onto the spectators below. Though there were 60 injuries, amazingly, no one was killed.
Already, it has begun to deflate.
Do extraordinary things. At a monster truck show in Niagara Falls, New York, 5,000 fans watch in horror as a driver loses control of his truck and smashes into a group of bystanders. An 82-year-old man, seeing the oncoming truck, has pushed a young boy to safety. This selfless act of courage prevents the man from escaping himself and costs him his life.
It kind of dawned on him along about this point that he was traveling in circles. He was lost, just about as lost as they come. Purely by accident, he stumbled onto a catch basin of rainwater. Just enough left
He fights for the
quick
lead.
drink, and cool bath for his aching feet.
Order of eating, with the stronger and bolder feeding first, while the younger and less
His wet
aggressive will
tracks would
have to
been easy
wait
to follow
and
if
hope for
anybody had come along
leftovers.
in time.
The mortality rate of lion
wasn't
cubs is
likely.
high, and many die from starvation. But this is nature's way of assuring the survival of only the fittest. When the things are forgotten, as the lioness' attention is drawn to the watercourse, where the evening drinkers are beginning to arrive. If even one of these lechwe forgets to remain alert while drinking and grazing, the lion pride may have a satisfying feast tonight.
Hello, everybody. Just checking in with you guys. How's everybody doing? Yeah. Okay, good. Just making sure you're still with me here. Check, check. Okay, just adjusting the shot. I know it's a little low. Wanted you to see this. This is the new switcher that I picked up today. Yesterday, actually. Value Village. Value Village, $5. It was a nice little investment and a nice little addition to the monster, as I call it. I call it the monster. The reason I'm whispering is because there are people sleeping next door. So we'll keep it down. All right, back to the show.
Looking at a football game, I now look at a sad and tragic sight. Hopefully now as I look across the ground, everybody is out. The police have done a manful job because the rafters have been coming down on them.
52 fans died at the Bradford Stadium tragedy. Fortunately, thousands more were saved.
The fever tree, an acacia of the mimosa family, grows in tropical climates where mosquitoes also thrive. And the tree got its name because of the fevers which actually were transmitted by the insects. The lush forest of the Gorongosa Reserve
Reached the safest place he could possibly come to. It was a wildlife sanctuary where all creatures are protected.
animals, found in troops of up to 60 individuals.
Suddenly, the fuel-soaked plane erupts into flames.
It didn't take long to size up the situation. They knew exactly what to do. Draw the snake's attention to themselves. If they could just keep the rattler, slip out of the danger zone. Trouble with this plan, the way out was squeezed a little narrow. Besides, would the pup know when to come? Out, his play was over. Now Lobo could rejoin his family. Sore-footed and tuckered out maybe, but glad to be back where he belonged. Went by, Lobo branched out more and more on his own, traipsing around, exploring the countryside. One fine morning, he was ambling along, not doing much of anything, when he came upon a sight that stopped him in his tracks.
In the wild, survival depends upon constant vigilance, and the baboon have evolved one of nature's more efficient security systems.
We killed a raven by accident.
The size and strength of the
Bill's life at risk, but thousands of dollars and months of preparation are at stake as well.
Please help us.
The cursed history of this stunt has...
Old.
You know the law. Only take what you can use. You be kind. For this, I'll help you.
Specially designed. Even if he successfully escaped before the coffin,
his nose. In addition to being a highly useful tool,
when suddenly there's a movement in the dirt.
Amazing things.
Bill is alive, but he's been buried too long and undoubtedly has little breath left. Roy, fearful of a cave-in, carefully digs around Bill's arm for a handhold.
Be careful, it's different here. What's happening here? Be careful, this mud building come up.
Beast. The vervet find another source of insect life by grooming one another. This is one of the advantages of being a social animal. Vervet have pouches in their cheeks in which they're able to store.
But Spanky's many stunts are just a prelude to Firebird Lake, where he hopes to set a new world record car jump.
became a cheerful, bright child who was ever thoughtful and kind.
Caves in the car's windshield and damages its emergency oxygen system. As the car sinks, it traps Spangler inside without an air supply.
The shallow roots of the fever tree make it easy for elephant to push them over and thereby graze on even. The baboons seem to find the fallen trees irresistible, both as perches and as gymnastic playgrounds. Like an autumn leaf, the dead fever tree takes on a russet color when the protective residue that covers the green bark of the live tree dries up. Large areas of a fever tree forest appear like a war zone after destruction.
Realizing that someone has to come to his aid, fellow hang glider Salvatore Caiazzo begins climbing the tower. As he does, Doran's clothes catch fire. Doran thrashes wildly in an attempt to put out the flames, hanging on only by the remains of his safety straps. His agonized screams motivate Salvatore to climb even faster. To tear off his burning clothes.
Are clogged by the overgrowth of the prolific water hyacinth. But this plant provides an important food source for animal and aquatic life, ranging from insects, fish, and birds to elephant and hippopotamus.
I can help you.
Whose voice is that? Where are you?
You whatever you want.
All right, it's worth a try. Come along.
So Tom slipped under the door of the rich man's house. But when he got inside, he called out in a loud voice,
What do you want? Shall I hand out everything?
"Shh, not so loud." Tom pretended not to understand.
Hold out your hands. Here's some gold.
What was that?
Did you hear that?
Tom, pleased with himself, tiptoed away. Soon he came to a barn. There he went to sleep in a pile of soft hay.
When the nest is finished, he'll perch at the entrance and flap his wings to attract a female. She'll inspect the nest before accepting him as a mate. Several varieties of birds build their nests on the ground. Needless to say, these birds suffer far greater losses of eggs and young than do the weavers.
Crushed aluminum. Racetrack crews quickly arrive and race to extinguish the fire. Until they can turn the car over, they won't know whether Rutherford survived the crash.
But the cattlemen weren't sharing with anybody. And from the very beginning, it was open warfare.
A cow's stomach and a wolf's belly. And now, I'll stay right
Well, Pharaoh's lagged back from
You.
time to time,
And we
encouraging
will
her,
never give
hoping
you
she'd
away
catch up.
again.
But he had the young ones to think of, too, and he had to go on. The female was
Well,
getting near the end of her
that
rope.
turned out to be Tom's most dangerous adventure. He would never have got into trouble if he'd
A
stopped to
wounded
think
animal
about what
knows
he
when
was
it's
doing
reached its limit.
before he did
And
it.
typical like, she
Tom
went off to
learned a lot
find a
that
resting
day,
place.
and from then on, no matter
Maybe the
how that small amount of extra time.
At the time of her rescue, she had been trapped for nearly 3 hours. Paramedics rushed her to a local hospital where she fully recovered. Safety inspectors at the Dames Point Bridge face an
The elephant tugs on the upper branches to avail himself of the vegetation and could easily dislodge any nest that was built in the tree.
the basket. Meanwhile, a second man hangs below the basket, with only a safety line between him and the water 150 feet below.
This baby
Tensions run
owl
high
won't
as
be able to
rescuers
fly
prepare
until
for
it's
their
about
perilous
3
descent to
months
the
old,
victims.
so its predicament is
The
one
rescue
which will
workers are
require
acutely
human
aware that they must
intervention.
work quickly because metal fatigue now threatens to send the train into the river.
The owl's diet of raw meat is easy enough to provide, but persuading the chick to accept food from any
Lowered
other
into the
source
cage.
than its mother
Discovers
requires
that
force.
Inspector
Maurice and
unconscious.
Monique find that
Rescuer first
every
turns his
3
attention
hours.
to the man under the basket.
Hold it! All right, hold up. All right, let him down. He's slack.
Firefighters on the bridge prepare to hoist him to safety.
Feeding the baby owl will be an around-the-clock job for several weeks. Success. The orphan barn owl has begun to grow adult plumage by the time she's 5 weeks old. Her feathers will turn darker brown as she matures, but already it can be seen that nature has provided her with excellent camouflage, which will bring
Unable to escape the flames that have engulfed her kitchen and living room, the woman hangs dangerously.
The bulbul seems to be checking his own appearance and his reflection. Her powerful talent
if you stayed at the library and read day and night every day for a whole year, there would still be thousands of stories left to enjoy.
Because next morning it looked like nature herself was in on the deal, playing it on the keyboard. Elfrose came on in the lead. He was still heading up the family path.
How
And quick as a wink,
They couldn't. You see, in each town there was one very special person. A storyteller. Every day, the children would gather round as the storyteller told tales. Different storytellers. Until two brothers, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, decided that every child should enjoy
Upright in the water. But as he worked through the long winter evenings, and his paddle grew more shapely and splendid and shining, Kyle thought, I don't want to let him go. I want to keep him.
On a cold night in Boston, Massachusetts, the terrified cries of a child sent firefighters directly into danger. As flames whipped from the burning apartment's window, firefighters raced to rescue a young girl trapped inside.
When the ice and snow had gone from the rivers, go he must.
Beneath the frozen sky, Lobo learned he must be strong, he must be wise or die.
by the next spring, Lobo had been a loner about long enough. It was time to start.
McGillicuddy feeds oxygen to the tiny girl, the life-giving work of his lungs transferred to the machine. Thanks to McGillicuddy.
As they cannot sweat, lions deal with the intense heat by panting. Excess body heat evaporates from their tongues, aided by the forced airflow resulting from their short breaths. The rapid movement of these ants is also due to the unrelenting heat of the desert. Once their own body temperature rises above 42 degrees Celsius, the ants will be forced to leave their prey and seek shelter. Towards the end of February, a brief rainy season will bring relief.
It wasn't going to be quite this simple. There was a kind of a catch to it. The one who really had the say was the pack leader. Surly old brute who right away took a dislike to the young fellow
from the lonely shore.
In the dry air of the Kalahari before reaching the ground. Animal life varies with the rain. rainfall. Traveling north or south of the Congo Basin, there is less rain, and tropical jungles
The pack leader could see he wasn't winning. And when you're not winning, you might as well do your losing. No sense getting yourself killed just for show. He just tucked his tail between his legs and simmered. And so the Lobo legend began to get a little bigger. From that time on, Lobo ran at the head of the pack with his mate at his...
Then the negotiators begin to gain a little of the man's trust. In an effort to calm Evans down,
Flew higher and higher and farther and farther until at last it disappeared from sight. The giant stopped.
For there was an enemy lurking below.
He looked again at the breastplate that said,
One day in their scouting, they made a mighty interesting discovery. Across the about filled the bill. The only drawback was there didn't seem to be any way of getting over to it.
A passing storm in the Kalahari normally brings with it the promise of new and fresh water. Only this time, the storm has also brought fire. At first, Monique and Maurice were not aware of the fire. It began in an isolated area and wasn't visible to them. But columns of smoke in the distance signaled that a brush fire had begun. Driven by strong winds, the fire will fan out to encompass a large part of the grassy plains and open forest. In an arid savanna like the Kalahari, a fire will travel until it burns out. Nearby animals don't need to see the fire
Just gliding along in the moonlight, safe and sound.
Instinct allows
Safe?
the wildlife to
What was that great relationship?
Maybe she wasn't so Finally, after Lobo showed it could be done, she got
It was the first time Pat had ever been this close to a ship. Even though no one had ever even noticed it, Paddle, like the great ships, was also on his way to the sea.
She knows when it's time to move. Many in an attempt to release excess body heat. The ostrich doesn't want to leave its nest and waits till the last possible moment to flee the fire. The golden cobra flares its hood in defiance of the
right about now, the life ahead was
shelter by retreating into its burrow.
The water that carried him would turn into ice. And that would surely be the end of it.
Lobo's mate didn't hunt with him anymore.
pull the suspect from the car. As the replay shows, Captain Bratton could easily have been shot while grabbing the gun. but the captain later insists that his incredible bravery is just part of a cop's job. In San Marino, California, police receive a frantic 911 call.
As leader of the wolf pack, his fame began to 100 miles on his head.
Ostriches normally live in pairs, but band together out of fear.
The angry cat.
All the time, he was as safe as a seed.
Riders lower a rescuer to try and grab the boy.
As a he's put you outside the law.
Blow became the new ruler.
Wasn't that exciting? Fairy tales make me feel so happy. Good always wins in a fairy tale. The handsome prince gets the hand of the beautiful princess. Things always turn out just right. What's that? Too bad it can't be like that all. How? If you listen very carefully.
We can't keep him, said his father.
Situation which is highly unlikely under normal circumstances. A herd of oryx joins the exodus. The strong will survive. The young and the infirm will fall victim to the fire. Even the lion, the king of the Kalahari's savanna, must learn to turn its back on its own territory and retreat in the face of certain death. During a brush fire of this magnitude, it's not unusual for a member of the pride to become lost.
The world of men seemed very
Of
beautiful.
confusion.
It was the 4th of July, a celebration.
And all the others you've just seen, many who might not have survived, are alive and well today. It is to thee...
Bird too weak to run and unskilled in the art of flight.
But for a little creature like Paddle, the world of men was also very dangerous. Dangerous and dirty. They were pouring all sorts of filth and slime and garbage into the lake.
To outrun the fire.
Worst of all, ahead of them lay Niagara Falls.
Once they're out of danger, some of the animals try to regroup. The vast herds of springbok and hartebeest have suffered as a result of the fire.
The youth who wanted a shiver we'll meet a boy who's afraid of nothing. Now, other people think he must be foolish if he can't understand what it means to be frightened. And he's starting to believe
tricks to be tried. In looking over the situation, he'd noticed something important. A clue about Lobo.
Part of the fertile Nassau Valley, once teeming with wildlife. The survivors must now learn to cope with the aftermath.
And then, just when his worst troubles seemed to be over, he disappeared.
Fire. Leaves may burn, but the plant survives.
He hadn't really disappeared, of course.
Storm, the ground will again be covered with lush green shoots. Burned underbrush to observe the fire's impact. The once grassy plain is now nothing more than smoldering ash.
It so happened Lobo did not take the usual rounds at dinner. He stayed home with the family, sort of taking things easy. His pups were about 3 months old now, getting more active every minute. One of them was Lobo's particular pride and joy, a dark little female who was a dead ringer for her mother.
Their strength. They'll need all their cunning and vigor if they're going to succeed in falling prey. The yellow-billed hornbill.
When the hunter came back, the trap was gone. Just as he figured, Lobo had come back.
Considerable weight due to the lack of available prey in the immediate vicinity. Though food is sparse,
certain death. The safety of flat ground and emergency vehicles, the landing zone. But the end of their trip is still dangerously out of reach. The helicopter's turbulence continues to spin the litter out of control. Bowling and Mejia are now at the most precarious part of their journey. Mejia could break free at any moment, and his patient could tumble out after him.
Like this,
finally,
it's best to go to sleep.
Ken Bowling and Carlos Mejia have survived one of the most amazing rescues ever caught on camera.
The next morning, the man came back and asked if Jack had found out what
Along the banks of the Mississippi River in Minneapolis.
Paddle was free. And ahead of him, only one last big barrier.
Companions have reached safety. Fish has been caught in the swift current and is now in danger of being swept into the treacherous lower falls.
It has put my daughter to sleep. He who can spend 3 nights in a row in this haunted castle shall set her free. Many have tried, but they have all perished. Go away. You are so young.
No, I'll stay.
On the first night, Jack was sitting alone by the hearth.
Hey, everybody. Just wanted to let you all know that we're gonna end the stream soon. I know we got flagged a couple of times. And, the stream did come back.
Then he went to bed.
Which is good.
In the morning, the king came.
Yeah, it's too bad. But I kept her going anyways, eh? So, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. And by we, I mean me. So, until next time, keep fit and have fun. We will have more streams to come, and they will be magnificent. Thanks for watching. Good night.